people only respected you when you explained yourself, justified every decision, and constantly proved your worth, then the people who talk the most would be the most respected. But reality shows the opposite. Some individuals can walk into a room, say very little, and immediately command attention, respect, and influence. Meanwhile, others spend hours explaining themselves and still feel ignored, questioned, or dismissed. Why does this happen? What psychological mechanism makes silence more powerful than endless explanations? And why do people often begin to value you more the moment you stop trying so hard to convince them? If you have ever felt misunderstood, overlooked, or trapped in a cycle of constantly defending your choices, this video may completely change the way you see human behavior, social dynamics, and personal influence. Stay until the end, because the final insight reveals a psychological pattern that most people experience throughout their lives without ever recognizing it. Welcome to a space dedicated to understanding the human mind and modern emotions, helping people better understand anxiety, relationships, personality traits, emotional patterns, and the hidden forces that shape behavior. If you can't control your emotions, people will control you. Most people misunderstand emotional control. It's not about staying calm. It's about how your mind silently shapes your behavior, your relationships, and the way people respond to you without you realizing it. If you stay until the end, you'll understand the psychological patterns behind your reactions, why you repeat certain behaviors, and how your mind actually builds emotional habits in daily life. Because the real issue is not what you feel, it's what your mind does with what you feel. And most people never notice this process happening. Today, we will explore the psychology behind why people respect you more when you say less, how excessive explanations can silently reduce your social influence, what your communication style reveals about your self-perception, and how understanding these behavioral patterns can transform the way others respond to you in everyday life. Have you ever walked away from a conversation feeling like you said too much? Maybe you explained your reasons, defended your choices, clarified your intentions, and somehow ended up feeling less understood than before. It happens every day. Someone questions a decision you made, and almost automatically you start building a case for yourself. The strange part is that the more you explain, the less confident you seem. Deep down, many people believe that respect comes from making others understand them. But in reality, constant explanations often send a completely different message. Your mind starts treating approval like a necessity instead of a bonus. And when that happens, people can sense it, even if nobody says a word. What feels like honesty can quietly become a search for validation. What feels like communication can become a habit of proving your worth. Most people never notice when this pattern begins because it usually starts with something simple: the fear of being misunderstood. And that fear has a much bigger influence on your relationships, confidence, and social presence than you may realize. What most people don't realize is that respect is not only influenced by what you say, but also by the emotional energy behind your words. When you constantly explain yourself, your brain is often trying to reduce a feeling of uncertainty. It wants to control how others see you, avoid rejection, and prevent people from creating the wrong impression. The problem is that this automatic response can create the opposite effect. Instead of showing confidence, you may accidentally communicate that other people's opinions have too much power over you. This happens in everyday situations. When someone questions your choices, when you feel the need to prove your intentions, or when you keep adding details because silence feels uncomfortable. Your mind interprets silence as a risk, but socially, silence can sometimes communicate security. People naturally pay attention to those who appear comfortable with themselves. The hidden pattern is that the need to be understood by everyone can make you forget something important. Your value does not increase because you convince others. It increases when your actions consistently speak for you. And this changes the way people perceive your confidence, boundaries, and presence without you having to force it. And this is where the difference begins to appear in real life. Some people walk into a room and naturally attract attention, while others feel like they have to work constantly to be noticed, respected, or taken seriously. The difference is not always about being more intelligent, more attractive, or more outgoing. Often, it comes from the signals people send through their behavior. When someone is constantly seeking approval, explaining every decision, or trying to prove they are right, others may unconsciously perceive insecurity behind those actions. It does not mean the person lacks value. It means their behavior is communicating a different message than they intended. Think about everyday interactions. The person who stays calm during disagreement often appears more confident than the person who keeps defending every point. The person who accepts a moment of silence often seems more comfortable than the person who rushes to fill every pause. Over time, these small behaviors shape relationships, friendships, and professional connections. People respond not only to your words but to the emotional patterns behind them. And when you begin changing those patterns, something interesting happens. You stop trying so hard to earn respect, and people start noticing the confidence you were already carrying. The shift begins when you understand that your presence speaks before your words ever do. Your brain does not only respond to what is happening in front of you, it also reacts to the emotional experiences you have carried for years. Many people think they explain themselves so much because they simply want to communicate better, but sometimes there is a deeper pattern behind it. At some point in life, they may have learned that being misunderstood had consequences. Maybe they were constantly judged, ignored, criticized, or made to feel like they needed to prove their intentions before being accepted. Over time, the mind creates protective habits to avoid experiencing that same emotional discomfort again. The need to explain everything can become a way of seeking safety, even when there is no real danger in the present moment. This is how emotional memories influence daily behavior without asking for permission. A simple question from someone can trigger an old feeling of needing to defend yourself. A small disagreement can feel bigger than it actually is because your mind connects it with previous moments of rejection or invalidation. The interesting part is that these patterns often operate quietly. You may believe you are just being careful, honest, or helpful, while your brain is actually trying to protect an older version of yourself. Understanding this connection changes the way you see your reactions, because sometimes the biggest battle is not with the people around you, but with the emotional experiences your mind is still trying to resolve. The moment you become aware of these patterns, something begins to change in the way you interact with the world. Not because you suddenly stop caring about what people think, and not because you become someone who never explains anything. Human connection requires communication, honesty, and vulnerability. The difference is understanding when your words come from confidence and when they come from fear. When you start observing your reactions instead of immediately following them, you create space between the emotion and the behavior. That small space gives you the ability to choose how you respond. Instead of rushing to prove yourself, you can allow your actions, consistency, and character to communicate who you are. Instead of seeing silence as a threat, you can begin seeing it as a moment of self-control and emotional stability. This does not mean becoming distant or pretending not to care. It means developing a healthier relationship with your own need for acceptance. Many people spend years trying to control how others perceive them, but real confidence begins when you stop abandoning yourself in the process. The goal is not to say less because silence is always better. The goal is to understand yourself enough that your words are no longer controlled by fear. And when that happens, people often respond differently, not because you changed who you are, but because you finally stopped hiding it behind constant explanations. Maybe the most interesting thing about human behavior is that many of the things we do every day are not conscious decisions, but responses shaped by experiences we barely remember. The need to explain yourself, the fear of being misunderstood, and the desire to be accepted are not signs of weakness. They are reflections of a mind that has spent years learning how to navigate relationships, uncertainty, and emotional challenges. But when you begin to notice these patterns, you start seeing human interaction from a different perspective. You realize that respect is not created only through words, arguments, or constant effort. Sometimes it appears in the moments where nothing needs to be proven. The way people respond to you is often connected to the relationship you have with yourself when nobody is watching. The pauses you allow, the confidence behind your decisions, and the emotions you carry into conversations all communicate something before you even speak. And perhaps the biggest discovery is that the way others see you is often influenced by the signals you unknowingly send every day. Human behavior is complex, and the smallest changes in awareness can reveal parts of ourselves that were always there, waiting to be understood. If you stayed with me until this moment, it means you are someone who wants to understand not only what people do, but why they do it. Your curiosity about human behavior is the first step towards seeing yourself and your relationships with a deeper perspective. If this video made you think differently, take a second to leave a like because it helps this channel continue creating content about psychology, emotions, relationships, and the hidden patterns behind human behavior. I would also love to hear your thoughts. Leave a comment saying, "I understand my patterns," if you watched until the end. Your comment may help create a deeper conversation with people who are also exploring their own minds. And if you want to continue discovering how thoughts, emotions, and behaviors influence your daily life, watch the video appearing on the screen now and explore the playlist connected to this topic. There are more videos waiting for you that can help you understand the human mind from a different perspective. Subscribe to the channel and become part of a community dedicated to understanding the psychology behind who we are and why we behave the way we do.